The police lights painted my suburban driveway in flashing red and blue while Karen Delaney stood there with her arms folded, wearing that victorious smirk like she'd just caught the neighborhood's biggest criminal. What she didn't realize was that by dragging the cops to my door over a simple backyard gate, she had just handed me the perfect moment to flip her entire world upside down. Oakwood Grove looked like the American dream on a postcard, manicured lawns, kids on bikes, the little community park with its walking trail winding past the pond. Everyone smiled and waved. But step inside the gates and the air got thick with rules. No flags except on approved holidays. Grass no taller than 3 inches. Measured with a ruler. Bird feeders only if they match the approved earth tone palette. And heaven forbid your trash can sat out past 7 p.m. On pickup day, the HOA board, 5 retirees who treated bylaws like the 10 Commandments, ran the place like a homeowner's dictatorship. At the center of it all was Karen Delaney, the self-crowned queen of standards. She patrolled in her little white golf cart, clipboard in one hand, phone ready to snap evidence in the other. Widowed, childless, and apparently bored out of her mind, Karen had turned protecting property values into a full-contact sport. Neighbors called her the clipboard behind her back. To her face, they smiled, nodded, and paid the ever-climbing assessments. I was the new guy, Ethan Brooks. 42. Remote software engineer. Wife Sarah, a night shift nurse. 2 kids who just wanted to play outside without a violation notice taped to the door. We moved here for peace. Instead, we got Karen. At first I played nice. Waved when she drove by. Paid the first assessment even though my deed said my lot sat outside the HOA. I figured it wasn't worth the fight. But Karen smelled weakness the way sharks smell blood. One Tuesday afternoon she marched up my driveway, golf cart parked like a tank at the curb, and jabbed a finger toward my new wooden gate at the back fence. Mr. Brooks, she began in that syrupy voice she used right before the knife twist. That gate is a clear violation. It blocks community access to the walking trail and park. Everyone knows the path is shared. You need to remove it immediately or face daily fines starting at $200. I kept my face calm. The same way I'd learned to stare down bad code at 2 a.m. Karen. My deed is clear. That strip of land the trail crosses? It's mine. I bought the parcel that includes the easement. The HOA has no jurisdiction back there. Her laugh was sharp. Like breaking glass. Oh honey. That's not how this works. We've always used that path. The whole neighborhood relies on it. You don't get to play king of the castle just because you found some old paperwork. She tapped her clipboard like it was a gavel. Compliance notice issued. You have 72 hours. I didn't argue. I just smiled, nodded, and added the notice to the folder I started keeping that night. Inside, I was already watching. Karen had no idea she was standing on my land while she lectured me about community spirit. The first police visit came 2 weeks later. Karen had called them, claiming I was blocking emergency access and creating a public nuisance. The officer looked tired. The way cops do when they know they're being used for HOA theater. Karen stood beside him, arms crossed, chin high, radiating the confidence of someone who believed her title was printed on official government letterhead. Officer. This man refuses to follow simple rules, she announced. Loud enough for the neighbors now peeking from windows. He won't pay assessments. He installed an unauthorized gate. And he's endangering the children who use the trail. The cop turned to me. Sir? I handed him the folder, deed, survey, the email from the title company confirming the parcel boundaries. Officer. That trail runs across private property I own. The HOA has been using it without permission for years. Karen's standing on my land right now. The officer flipped pages. Karen's smug smile held for 3 full seconds before it cracked. Her mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. The neighbors who'd crept closer started whispering. One guy actually laughed under his breath. Karen's face went from righteous to stunned in real time. Like someone had unplugged her power source. That should have ended it. It didn't. It lit the fuse. The next Saturday morning I was drinking coffee on the back porch when I heard the metallic clank. Karen marched down the trail, my trail, with 3 of her loyal board members trailing like ducklings. She carried bright orange bolt cutters like a trophy. Her golf cart sat parked at the edge. Engine still ticking. Today we restore community access, she shouted. Voice echoing across the pond so half the neighborhood could hear. This illegal barrier will be removed by order of the board. She raised the cutters like a knight raising a sword. Snap. The lock fell. Her little entourage cheered. Karen turned to the growing crowd of neighbors holding phones up. Face glowing with victory. See? This is what leadership looks like. No one is above the rules. I stepped out calmly. Phone already recording. Appreciate the show. Karen. Every second is on camera. Including you destroying my private property. Witnesses included. Her triumphant grin faltered when she saw the phones. You can't, this path belongs to the community. Actually, I said. Still recording. The deed says otherwise. And now the sheriff gets to decide. Enjoy the viral moment. For the first time. I saw real panic flicker behind her eyes. But Karen didn't back down. She doubled down. The fines started arriving like clockwork. Unauthorized gate structure, $250. Visual blight from improper fencing, $150. Obstruction of approved pedestrian easement, $300. One notice accused me of non-compliant grass height even though the grass in question was on my side of the fence. Another cited my kid's basketball hoop for creating noise pollution because it was visible from the trail. I never yelled. Never called her back. I just photographed every envelope. Dated it. And slid it into the growing binder. What Karen saw as punishment, I saw as ammunition. Neighbors started talking. Quietly at first. Mrs. Alvarez from 2 doors down caught me at the mailbox one evening. She fined me $75 because my grandson drew hopscotch on the sidewalk with chalk. Said it was unauthorized public art. My 8-year-old cried for an hour. She handed me the notice. I added it to the binder. Mr. Patel, the retired accountant, brought over coffee and a stack of his own violations. My American flag was too large and not any approved neutral tones. I fought in Vietnam. Ethan. For this? More pages for the binder. The pattern was ugly. Newer families. Single parents. Anyone who didn't show up to Karen's monthly wine and standards nights got hit hardest. Longtime friends of hers? Their lawns could look like hayfields and they'd never see a notice. I kept digging. Board meeting minutes. Vendor contracts. Every signature was Karen's. Landscaping contracts going to her nephew's company at triple market rate. Pond maintenance invoices for work that never happened, the pond was still choked with algae. Over $38,000 funneled through family businesses in 18 months. I charted it. Color-coded it. Turned the binder into a weapon. The escalation got personal. Someone spray-painted compliant dripping red letters across my gate at 3 a.m. My cameras caught Karen's golf cart idling 50 yards away. City inspectors started showing up after anonymous complaints about illegal structures and hazardous materials. One deputy even found a GPS tracker on my truck one morning. Karen's desperation was showing. And it was getting sloppy. By the time the annual board meeting rolled around, the community hall was standing room only. People who hadn't spoken at a meeting in years packed the chairs. Cameras from the local news station sat in the back. Someone had leaked the petition I'd quietly circulated. Karen sat at the head table. Clipboard in a death grip. Lipstick perfect. Smile frozen like a mask. She opened the meeting with her usual speech about preserving our beautiful community values. Then the floor opened. I walked to the microphone with the binder. The room went dead quiet. My name is Ethan Brooks. 4 months. Ms. Delaney has harassed me, my family, and many of you with fines, threats, and now criminal trespass and vandalism. But tonight I'm not here to complain. I'm here to present facts. I laid out the deed first. The survey map went up on the projector. The trail. The park access. The strip Karen patrolled every single day, legally mine. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Karen's face drained of color. Then the fines. Stacks of them. Side-by-side photos, my perfectly kept yards cited for violations while board members' properties looked like abandoned lots. The color-coded chart showing who got fined and who didn't. The financial records. Nephew's company. Inflated invoices. Signatures. Mark, the retired accountant I'd recruited, took the mic next. Over $38,000 in questionable payments. Every one approved by Karen Delaney to companies owned by her family. The room exploded. People stood. Voices overlapped. Resign. Audit. Thief. Karen shot to her feet. Voice cracking. This is character assassination. I've given everything to this community. These are lies spread by malcontents who don't care about standards. But the crowd wasn't listening anymore. The deputy who'd been quietly sitting in the back stood up and read the accumulating police reports: trespassing, vandalism, stalking via GPS. Karen's mouth opened. But nothing came out. For once. The clipboard had no words. The vote was swift. Immediate suspension pending full independent audit. 4-1. Karen's hands shook so badly she dropped her clipboard. It clattered on the floor like a final gavel. She walked out between rows of neighbors who no longer looked afraid. They looked done. The audit took 6 weeks. $47,000 missing. Contracts canceled. Civil suits filed by multiple families. Karen's nephew's company folded. Her insurance dropped her after the fraudulent claims she tried to pin on me. The pearl white golf cart got repossessed right in front of her house while neighbors watched from their porches. Some sipping coffee. Some openly smiling. The neighborhood changed. New bylaws. Term limits. Public financial reports. A real mediation process for disputes. Kids drew chalk masterpieces on the sidewalks again. Flags flew without fear. And the walking trail? I granted a proper recorded easement, on my terms. With fair annual access fees that actually went to park maintenance. Not someone's nephew. I still walk that trail most evenings. Sometimes I see Karen in the distance. Head down. No clipboard. No golf cart. She crosses to the other side when she spots me. The Queen of Oakwood Grove learned the hardest lesson of all: when you spend years bullying people on land that was never yours, eventually the deed comes due. So here's the question I want you to answer honestly in the comments: when the HOA Karen weaponizes community standards to control everyone around her, Is the real villain the quiet neighbor who finally fights back with paperwork and patience, or the smiling tyrant who thinks rules only apply to other people? Who is truly destroying the neighborhood here?